guest has some things to say about the toll of gun violence in this country that may surprise you. He's a guy who's helped millions of Americans, and that's what he's talking about. Joining me now is Tony Robbins. Tony, it's such a polarizing issue, this.
We've talked about this
You know, and I do try and respect the views of people that I don't agree with about this, although I find the way that they deliver them sometimes very insensitive. What is your view of guns generally?
Well, I think the first issue for me is what's really happening. What's really happening in our culture. And I think what's beautiful is, as painful as this is, human beings can change one of two ways. They can change because there's an opportunity, they just decide go make it happen, or they do it because they're at a threshold. And America's at a threshold. The stacking of these brutal effects, especially on young children, I think has pushed us to a point where gun owners are saying something's got to be done. And that's creating an environment where real change can occur. I think the most important thing is, besides the discussions about the how, is for us to look at each other, no matter what side. I have friends on both sides of this issue, very good friends on both sides of the issue. And it's the ability for us to get them to see, hey, listen, everybody has pure intent. We all have to want the exact same thing. That young man that was on earlier, obviously Gabby, obviously Mark, yourself, myself, we all want to make sure our kids are safe. We all want to make sure that our family, our husbands, wives, you know, mothers and fathers are safe. We all want to make sure people are respected. So we've forgotten that, and when we go to polarize, it's kind of like if you put your fist out and I push on you like this, what happens? 9/9 of the people are going to do that, push right back. And the more we polarize each other, the harder it is to create a real change. So I think the most important thing right now is for us to be able to enter the other person's world and say, I know their intent is pure. We have one difference. The differences in different parts of this country is how to do it. And what's encouraging is the Vice President today saying, look, we're truly going to sit down and hear from every faction and look at what the solutions are. If we demonize, though, we'll be having this discussion 10 years from now, and there's going to be even more pain. So we've got to step out of it.
But as with my the guest, Mr. Shapiro, tonight, the problem is that if you try and talk about gun control with those who don't believe in it, they're completely intransigent, and they don't want to give up any weapons, and they then try and frame it as, you want to take all our guns, and you want to infringe my constitutional rights. But that's not what I want to do, or Mark Kelly, or Joe Biden, or Barack Obama. It's not what anybody sensible actually wants to do. But that is the way, as you talk about the demonizing, that the argument gets framed. And it makes you look like you're being unpatriotic if you dare to question it.
There's a martial art known as Aikido that I'm sure you've been familiar with. Most martial arts are about breaking the other person. What's beautiful about the art of Aikido, and I've had a chance to practice it, is someone's attack on you becomes an energy that you welcome, and instead of trying to hurt them, you align with them and redirect them. It's actually a very beautiful art. That's really what we're not doing on the economy, on guns, or any other part. We've become more and more polarized. So there is a solution. That is, if you can allow it, as I watched you do here, you took a lot more in. You took umbrance, obviously, to the idea that you're stepping on graves, which anyone would. But it was very different than even for yourself when you're saying you're wrong. It makes it hard, and I've done the same thing when you're passionate.
Listen, I'm trying to be fair-minded. I'm trying to listen to the debate. What I find hard is when I am categorized as being some raging lefty who hates the Constitution. You know, I totally respect and admire the Constitution and the Second Amendment and an American's right to defend themselves at home. What I haven't heard yet, and he couldn't give me one, is a coherent argument for why any civilian actually needs one of these assault weapons. And I don't think anybody does. And you've got to make a stand somewhere, and you have to start somewhere. And the logical place to start, given that automatic weapons are banned, is you go to the next level down, semi-automatic weapons. And, you know, in an ideal world, I'd have all guns gone, as we have in Britain. But this is not my country, and I respect the fact that most Americans wouldn't wear that kind of argument. But that's why I feel angry when I'm being categorized in a way that I think is wrong.
But I agree with you, and I thought it was unfair what he said, and I'm not saying that to blow smoke in your direction, but when we're passionate, both sides tend to do this. And I think what we really have to be able to do is create a little space to say, where are we aligned? There has to be more discussion about what do we agree on? We agree on protecting our kids. We agree on respect. So what are some ways that we can do that? And we may differ on the decisions, but we don't have to make the person wrong. I can disagree without making you wrong. That I'm going to deport you, or you're just wrong on any side, doesn't work for us. But I think there's another issue, though, that I haven't heard talked about. We're not going to eliminate guns in this country. There's 300 million of them, right, regardless of your point of view. And people are still not noticing who is creating this havoc, the who. And I don't mean just mentally ill. It's young males. How many young females have done this?
Almost all the recent massacres have been young men.
And even if you look through history, you'll find it's almost. And there's a reason. Young males get filled with testosterone at a young age, and when they have these strong emotions, no one has taught them. All cultures, Piers, have had a transition from being a child to being an adult, and that transition is about how to use power responsibly so that you protect and care. The military, for hundreds of years, has shown people how to use these and not be abusive.
I think there are lots of different components here. I think video games, Hollywood violent movies, mental health, all the issues raised, parental responsibilities, but in the end, they are all the eggs, and the catalyst for the killings is the gun. Tony, it's good to see you.
Thank you again. Thanks for having me.
We've got a big 1 hour special coming up
in a couple of
weeks. Looking forward to that very much.
Me too.
We'll be right back.